Hey everybody, coming here with a new commentary, this time on the 2004 Michael Mann classic Collateral with Cruise and Jamie Foxx. I got my friend Noah here, and we're going to do a audio commentary of the entire movie. You can listen to this as kind of like an audio podcast, or you can sync it up with the film, um, and we'll do like a little countdown, and then when we say go, you can press play and watch along with us. Um, all right, we'll be starting now. Three, two, one, go.
Right, and we're off.
And we're off. So, Collateral. This fucking
Collateral,
movie.
man.
This fucking movie, man.
Right? Yeah,
This fucking
it's
movie.
so I think this is since I've been on Letterboxd kind of like routinely writing reviews. I think this is maybe my 6th or 7th time I've watched this movie.
Yeah, it's gotta be my seventh. I've seen this. I saw this. I think like right after Heat. I'm pretty sure. Um, and yes, like that. Those two, like my first introduction to the world of Michael Mann.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so this one, this is an interesting film. This is probably like the last time that Michael Mann was considered like a mostly a sure bet as a commercial director. Like this is his last
Yeah.
kind of big hit that was critically liked and then made a lot of money. And I think the cruise part of that was very much a part of that whole aspect. And I think after that, Michael Mann, like he still starts, he's still working with these great actors, but like his movies kind of increasingly delve further and further into experimentation and kind of I don't know, like whatever we want to call his like late style. But
I, God, I mean, so kind of relating to style, the thing. So I'll state up front, this is my favorite Michael Mann film. And I think that's kind of in some way that I think he's striking that balance that kind of you're talking about with style, where you kind of have that like heat, sort of this could still appeal to wider masses. Whereas I feel like the way he plays with digital in this movie, especially, I just really, really love. So I like that it's that exact middle ground between one or the other.
yeah, I mean, with the digital thing, that's probably the most interesting part of this movie is that basically he kind of it's the pivot point, right? Where it's almost like a half and half split between his digital and his work with like 35 millimeter and like from what I understand, basically kind of like all the big like the interiors and like with the nightclub sequences, that's all film stock, and then everything else is basically digital. Um,
Yeah.
and so like because he starts experimenting with Ali, where like there's certain sequences that have like the very very raw digital video, which like still look really interesting to me. But this
Mhm.
is like you know the first time that he really kind of sets the tone for really like what is going to take over Hollywood cinema. Like, I mean, digital just becomes like, a monolith essentially. And, Mann was kind of the first guy to uh, delve into that head first. And what's cool about it is that because it's still kind of in a raw state in this movie, it has an interesting, unique look where
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
over polished.
No, yeah, that's something I was going to say was, yeah, I feel like, so yeah, the vast majority of movies today are like shot on digital, but I just watch man like how man uses digital, and I just genuinely think that like no one has ever used digital like as well since Michael Mann. That like there is like actual like tangible grain and tension. You have sort of a like depth of field that in some cases really wasn't possible with film. And then I think, yeah, just maybe not that hot of a take to say most movies today can look good, but you don't necessarily think about like picture quality in the same way you do when you're watching a man use digital.
Yeah, I think the main difference is that he really pushes it to its limits in a way that like I think most directors don't bother because they think it's like not I don't know, not tasteful or not like a part of a vocabulary they're interested in. And like you'll watch parts of this during the nighttime scenes, and you'll watch parts of Miami Vice and Public Enemies and Black Hat, and you'll be like, oh my god, like the the ISO is cranked up to high
Yeah,
heaven, and like you can see
yeah,
for miles in the darkness, and like it's
and
an interesting
it's
surreal
incredible.
accomplishment. Yeah, no, it absolutely is incredible.
Yeah, this particular film, I think I've mentioned it in like a at least one of the reviews I wrote up that L.A. in this feels like as much of a character as any of the characters in it. It's not just a setting; it feels like it's like this living, breathing space that everyone's kind of like moving around.
Yeah, by centering the entire film on Max's cab, you do get this almost like sense that you're like giving a tourist view of Los Angeles in the way that he's giving that to Vincent, right? By taking him around to all these different
Yeah,
places, and you get to see like the kind of like the downtown parts of LA, and like like the weird offbeat clubs, and um, like the hospitals, and like it's just like a total panorama, but it's all centered on like a specific character moving without the environment. So you don't get the heat thing where like you're jumping from one locale to next. And you don't really know exactly where you are, or like you're just like, okay, well now we're with Vincent, and now we're with Neil, and it's like a back
yeah,
and forth tension. Whereas this,
mhm.
you're basically always with Max and Vincent, and you're never really leaving their side, and they're kind of tethered together. So you're, it reminds me of like Scorsese's After Hours in that way, where
Oh, yeah,
you're just like rambling throughout this nighttime kind of experience, and you're, you know, you're listening to the music they're listening to, and you're seeing the sights they
yeah.
are, and
No,
you're not there's not a great degree of spatial abstraction in this, and that often does occur in a lot of Mann's other movies. So this kind of makes it a unique artifact in his career.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure as we get further, especially when we get to the very particular audio slave needle drop in this.
Yeah,
I
audio
think
slave,
music
motherfucker,
is.
let's fucking go.
But like the song specifically, I think it's called "Hands of Time." I think is a really gorgeous song, and I really love it as this backdrop for this very like intimate character moment. I think especially doing a very good job
Well, the
of.
thing that happens in this scene that I never understand, like, is that he's like, he plays a song, and then she's like, "Oh, this is a great song." He's like, "You like the classics?" And from what I understand, because I have the soundtrack for this movie, and I'm like, "Hold on, this song isn't like old or whatever when
No,
this
yeah,
came
it's
out."
like early 2000s, I think, or like 90s.
And to me, that little bit of dialogue is an indicator of how Michael Mann treats his soundtracks and his composers for his movies, where it kind of has like a mix and match feel, where you wonder if in the script it was like supposed to be a specific oldie kind of song, and Mann was like,
Sure.
no, 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 but put this in there, and like it doesn't
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
harmonize with the dialogue, and it like it's an interesting little kind of it's a quirk in the way that like I mean, it's a well-known fact essentially that like James Newton Howard's score for this film got really screwed and chopped, and like there's elements
Oh
of it
yeah.
in here,
Oh, that's right.
and he's been notably frustrated with the fact that it essentially just like you don't really get that much of his original score, even though it's not terrible.
Mhm.
It's a good score as anything, but Michael Mann is so into the needle drops, and he's so much more into
Mhm.
kind of the
Yeah, he
MTV
sure is.
style, and so that naturally just almost outside of something like Public Enemies, which is pretty dependent on Elliot Goldenthal's original score for that, which is a great score. Outside of that, most of his movies do more. It's more of like a collection of songs and vibes, and
Mhm.
kind of radio hits, and not so radio hits like Audio Slave that Michael Mann's like, put it, it's great.
Uh, yeah, no, yeah. I feel like if there's one gripe I've had with like looking into like reviews for like Collateral and sort of like Michael Mann films around the same time, people always shit on like Audio Slave and Chris Cornell, and I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? It's like I really love. I alone love how much man seems to really love like Chris Cornell as a musician, and I also happen to like really like him. And there is something that just kind of like bleeding heart sensibility to his
Okay,
music
well, let's just
that
be
I
frank. If
but
okay, for everyone listening to this, all right, if you watch a Michael Mann film and you're hating on the audio slave, and if you're hating on the Moby and whatever else weird soundtrack choices that he makes, I'm sorry, but you just don't appreciate cinema, and that's the plain fact.
yeah,
This is,
agreed.
it's like people who like, it's like if you would get mad at Scorsese for like, oh man,
Using the Rolling Stones.
he's well, not only Rolling Stones, but he's playing "Gimme Shelter" again. It's like, fuck you. It's great. I love "Gimme Shelter." Why would I want less "Gimme Shelter" in a Scorsese movie? Put it in
Yeah,
there. Put it in.
absolutely.
In fact, the weird
Um,
thing is, like Black Hat almost has. I think it essentially has no soundtrack needle drops. Like
I
it's
think you're right.
all
Yeah.
score. It's all like he literally just like ripped the Social Network score and pasted it into Black Hat, and like it's so strange for him because coming from a history of again like being that heavy on those types of needle drops, like I wonder what went wrong there, where or maybe not wrong, but like just what were the choices made.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sometimes I kind of like to think I understand what man's deal is, but
No,
then
none
I
of us
kind of
do.
think
None
on
of
the
us
other
do.
hand,
None of us do.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't even think he understands. Like I remember someone asked
Oh.
him, like, it's like, oh man, like the Pacino parts in Heat. Did you like? Were you kind of interested in how big he was going? And he was like, well, Al's a real professional, and we felt that it was in tune with the character. And like Michael Mann clearly just can't see that Pacino is fucking losing his mind in that movie, and he's like, oh, he's great.
It's like for the better, though.
Well, I think
You
so.
know.
He's like a Michael Mann is like a really like serious and unironic guy, um,
Yeah.
for better and worse.
Hmm.
So this thing with Max's picture of the multi
Yeah.
violins, this is such a reoccurring Michael Mann motif of like the lonely guy who kind of has his own private dreams, and often it's symbolized via some like oceanic space that he escapes to, and
Sure.
in like Thief, it's literalized within uh, like the collage that James Caan's Frank kind of puts together.
You also have it. You also have literal in Manhunter, where Will Graham has his little beach house.
Yeah, not saying that like I stalk Michael Mann or anything. I am curious though, like whether or not he has like a beachfront property. Just like looking at the water. He's
We
like
can speculate.
he's like Sonny in Miami Vice. He's just staring at it out while someone's having a conversation. He's like, oh, sorry, what were we talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, we just had this whole scene with Annie, which I think is like this movie really doesn't work without that scene. I think with the
I
interaction
agree.
between Max and Annie, and like I don't know, like Jada Pinkett Smith as an actress hasn't had the most prolific career, but she's so good in this movie. She's so incredible.
She's wonderful.
Like she's
Yeah.
just effortlessly charismatic, and you totally buy their interactions. And like I just love, like she doesn't have a huge part in this, but she makes such a
She leaves an impact.
yeah, and she's probably like one of the better written Michael Mann female characters.
I
Um,
would agree. Yeah.
and yeah, I think we should point out like this script wasn't written by him, although I would cast some doubts into saying that he did not have some input onto certain things, because there are some like ticks that he definitely has in this movie and like the dialogue that I'm like, okay, he's clearly like inserting some stuff in here, but like the basic structure of the script I think is something he took on. And it's again an interesting outlier because Mann usually writes his own stuff, even if he's adapting, even if he's like collaborating, he's like, he's credited. And this is the only time he isn't. And I have to wonder if that's why, to some extent, this movie is a little bit more successful than his other ones, is that like he's not totally completely in his like hyperfixations in his his world, and there's a bit more of I don't know, like this is a movie about like two guys talking essentially.
Yeah.
It's not this ambitious epic. It's not this like political thriller that's taking on all these complex topics. It's not a biopic. It's not I don't
It's
know,
just two people in a car.
whatever the hell Miami Vice and Public Enemies are. Like
Yeah,
I just don't even know how to describe those movies, but
yeah.
like this
Black
is a
Cat.
this is a relatively classical movie. You could see a version of this
Sure.
movie being made in like the 40s and not really change that much. So it's
Yeah.
cool for man to like take that basic frame and then say, all right, but let's again crank up the fucking ISO and let's get all the fluorescent halogen lights of LA and let's see the sodium vapor trails of the water, and he's just losing his mind in the visual aspect, and he kind of has like the foundations of this other guy's work to kind of riff on. And yeah, I kind of wish that man was a bit more prolific and took on projects where it was like him just taking someone's to material and again just riffing on it. And like I think we could have gotten some interesting things out of that, although obviously I still do love the work that he kind of takes more of a tourist interest in.
Yeah. Do we know if his new film, the one that's about the creator of Ferrari, I think is that like adapted from a book, or is it just him like writing an original screenplay about that?
Oh, I have no fucking clue. I have no clue.
All right.
No idea. Yeah, but see this bit about like, okay, you know before anyone like has a misconception, I do love this movie, but like what what Vincent was just talking about with like the guy gets on the MTA and he dies and no one notices. Okay, that little bit of dialogue, how it gets said there and then repeated at the end of the film, like Michael Mann, if this was his script, that would never be in there. Like, because that is so like paperback thriller kind of dialogue, which I like it, but it's I I find this so fascinating as like an example of the tension between like man imposing himself on a set of material that's not his, and like the material resisting his attempts to, I don't know, in a way I feel like in another person's hands this would be a lot more of like a schmaltzy sentimental movie, but man has such a cool like detached kind of woozy romantic aspect to it, where like from the moment that we see Vincent, Tom Cruise's character on screen, like you already feel like, all right, this guy, um I mean he's basically playing a vampire in this movie. Like he's playing his character from Interview with the Vampire. He's got like the shark skin suit and the white hair, and
He does look
he's
like a shark in
he's a
this. Yeah.
nocturnal creature basically, and he's it's almost like it's like a vampire entered the back of your cab, and he's got like a like smile, and you're like, oh, I don't know, and he's like, ah, come on, like this whole bit
I mean,
where he's like
it's
essentially bribing him.
you like. I'm sure like mostly say that as like, or at least somewhat jokingly, but then I think about the moment where Vincent very nearly almost does not get in the cab with Max, and then like literally last second Max like reaches out and it's like, hey man, you can come in. So he is
He's literally
inviting him.
invited. Yeah. I
Yeah.
never thought about that, but you're right. Like, no. Yeah, Cruz, when are you doing like your adaptation of the Vampire Lestat? Let's make it happen. Bring it back. I'm fucking ready. All the Fujos of the world are ready. All right, so this bit, the sandwich. You seen the
It's
sandwich? I love this bit. Like
this bit's good.
this is
Yeah.
a bit of humor that would not happen in other Michael Mann movies. I love this shit. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't think like he looks at this picture of this like limousine catalog, like it's like pornography. He's like, I'm gonna eat my sandwich and look at the limousine
Yeah.
catalog.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this bit right here.
He,
But he puts it down, and then like there's like a slow mo. Yes, okay, right there. You get like a slow motion bit of his face. Like the way that Michael Mann, he's like a post Peckinpah director. He's very interested in the deployment of high frame rates and like slowing that down. And but the way he chooses to deploy it, especially after his first couple movies, like it gets increasingly more focused on like little character expressions. And
mm,
it's like about the rhythm of a scene where like that little slow motion thing of him recognizing he doesn't have his like island bit anymore, and then immediately right after the body falls in his car, and
Yeah,
it's like a great comparison of like his dream world is now like collapsed.
mhm. Or at the very least, if it's not totally collapsed, then it is very clearly in like danger,
Yeah.
and like it's in danger in a way where yeah, it is crushed in the way where he's like trapped, and he is for now having to go on this like wild adventure, if you can call it that, with Vincent.
This bit with the bullets in the fall killed him. There's there's parts of this where
This movie's funny.
like
Like it's
it is funny in a way that other Michael Mann films aren't. And Cruz is such a good guy to lean into that humor because he's so like again very dedicated and very intense, and so
mhm,
like inadvertently he just makes situations funny because he just has like a non-human aspect to his character, even in like films where he's supposed to be playing like a regular guy. Like there's parts of Jerry Maguire where you're like, is this guy okay? Is he all right? And in this
yeah,
one, like the subtext of that becomes text, right? And it's like, oh no, Cruz,
sure.
this, this is probably the closest to his actual personality, where he's kind of like
Oh God, I hope not.
this highly functioning psychopath who is like he can smile and you can have a conversation with him, but at the end of the day, he's also like, yeah, though I'm gonna fucking gut you. There's just like there's a high lethal edge to everything that he says, even though he does it with like this warm, gregarious smile.
Yeah,
Okay, so
no, yeah. I guess like
this whole thing, I want to put this out. Like they have the body in the back of the trunk for this entire movie, and it never comes up again. And that corpse just when they leave the car at the end, like it's the corpse is still in there. They just I wonder how
I
long
mean, I
before
guess
someone discovers it. He's just stuck in there.
yeah, yeah. I guess we do technically say it one more time in the final act when like the cop is trying to arrest Max, but then yeah, that like during the climax we do like never see the cab or I'm sure it's something that resolves however it's meant to resolve, but I do also like that the movie ends in the way that it does where we're focusing on like Max's story and that's enough. But yeah.
Oh yeah, my man, fucking Mark Ruffalo in this movie. Okay,
His fucking look in this man.
when I first watched this movie, I was like, what is this? I was so
Yeah.
like, this Mark Ruffalo stuff should not be in the film. Why is this in the movie? And now I'm kind of like, actually, these are some of the
Hell yeah,
best
Mark
parts.
Ruffalo.
I like his look in this is just unreal. To be frank, I don't know. It's a special Michael Mann touch where you're like, who is this guy? I don't know. He feels like he stepped out of like Training Day or something where like
Yeah,
he's coming out of a different movie. But in a way, he's almost like the most Michael Mannish character out of anyone in here.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
see
I
him
think
as being
what
a
I
part
like
of like
about
Vincent's like LA crime division.
what I
Or
think
sorry,
I like
not
about
Vincent in this movie, but like Vincent from Heat.
oh yeah, all good. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think what I like about Mark Ruffalo's look in this is like since he's an undercover cop, it's almost like he's like wearing a costume for this one bit, but then since he gets pulled into this plot, he's now having to be like serious cop man, but then he looks the way that he does, where he just looks ridiculous in every
Yeah.
scene.
This bit, like the classic, like Michael Mann loves these like over the shoulder shots. I love this shit. Like
Hmm.
Ridley Scott has this in a lot of his movies as well, where you're like the camera's just like right behind a guy's ear or something, and it's just panning around him. There's a lot of this in The Duelists and um, I think Gladiator too. Like he's just like loves kind of being right behind someone as they're navigating an environment.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of filmmakers who utilize space really well, I genuinely think Michael Mann might be the first filmmaker who comes to mind to me with that.
Well, he's an interesting guy in that he selectively deploys it. right. He doesn't always have an exact command of geography, but when he wants to, he'll just turn it on and it'll be there.
And then it's just incredible. Like, yeah.
And most often it's during action sequences. Like he'll
Hmm.
he'll abstract like speed and movement, but then when a gunfight starts, then suddenly things become like hyper tactile and the geography becomes very established. Like it's like that part in Black Hat where they're at the Korean restaurant and like it's just like a generic space until he starts like navigating the back of it and there's this big fight in like the middle of it and suddenly you realize like where everything's at and where all the tables are and yeah, just it's like it suddenly comes into focus as a fully manifested locale.
Hmm. If I can like completely interrupt for like a minute and go back all the way to the beginning of the film, I'm wanting to get your opinion on this since we've kind of you've kind of talked about how this movie has things that maybe Michael Mann himself would not have included. What do you think about this movie just straight up having a cameo from fucking Jason Statham
Statham,
as
my
like
man.
his character in the transporter?
No, it's cool as hell. I don't know why, because those transporter movies are about as far away from Michael Mann as I could think in terms of style.
Yeah,
But okay, Michael Mann, can we put Jason Statham in another one of your movies? Because we love
yeah,
Statham.
right.
I'm sure he's up for it. I'm sure he's game. He's like a great
I would
physical
love.
performer. Fucking put him in, man. There's there's no reason why he can't be like a cool bad guy or whatever in Black Hat 2. Can we get Black Hat 2 with Statham as imagine
Starring
what that
Jason
be?
Statham.
Okay, listen.
God.
What kind of like who do I got to sell upriver to get Black Hat 2 made with with Chris Hemsworth
Starring
versus
Jason Statham.
Statham? Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, Darwin shit happens. I Ching, whatever, man. We got to roll with it.
love it, love it, love it, love it.
See the like that Darwin I Ching, whatever, like that does feel like a Michael Mann touch
Oh,
there. Like some
one
kind of
hundred percent.
like the weird rat-a-tat dialogue of like listing off the vulgarities and intellectual references.
Mhm.
I love this bullshit where it's like, I don't know, Vincent, do you exactly care about Rwanda or whatever? Like he's just you feel like he's read that factoid somewhere and he's put that in
Yeah,
the back of his pocket. He's like, well, if anyone fucks with me, I'm
uh,
just gonna bust this out on them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It seems like it's yeah, just like a collection of like a bunch of things he heard on the news, and like yeah, if anyone questions him in any way, then he can pull that out to like briefly looks like he's like smarter or like holier than thou, but then of course he is going around killing people for his profession, so
I love this bit. Don't let me get cornered. You don't have the trunk space. Great fucking line. No, but see, what's great about this movie is that the cab becomes this psychological reflection of the character, right? So when there's like a broken
Oh
window,
yeah.
there's duct tape on it. Like it's almost like this is like Max's private world, and it's become like violated by Vincent's presence in it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not completely destroyed just yet, but it is like very clearly damaged, and it's interesting. In this moment, he's having to pretend like everything's okay when everything very clearly is not okay.
You have a food fight in here. So good. Does he just love the sandwich? What do they put in that sandwich? I hit a
Famous
deer.
Los Angeles deer.
I know. Well, okay. The thing is, he talks about hitting a deer, but then we later see the coyote later. So I don't know,
True.
man. There's
No,
just animals walking around LA. Who knows what's happening?
good point.
So I think this is a good time. I'd like talk about man Jamie Foxx. Like he's had a weird career, but this, I mean, I feel like when I don't know when people like talk about like what are the best Jamie Foxx performances. I mean, this has got to be on there.
Probably,
Because
yeah.
he's so, like, when you watch him in interviews and like listen to his like show or whatever, he's such an effortlessly cool guy, and he's so
Hmm.
funny. And so for him to like play this really neurotic, nervy, um, like anxious, doesn't have all his shit together kind of person,
And it works,
like
yeah.
I mean, that's not like a super easy thing, but he's so good at it. And this is again one of his like earlier roles, and he just pulls it off. And it's like I don't know. I kind of lament that he didn't work with Man more, and it feels like it. It
I
seemed
can
like for a while that like him, like he was essentially going to be Michael Mann's like Robert De Niro, right? It's like okay, they did Ali, they did this, they did Miami Vice, and you're like, oh man, they're gonna keep going together, and like you could have this cool partnership. And yeah, unfortunately, Miami Vice is like
yeah,
it became
that
the
is exactly
insane
what I was going to bring up.
hurricane debacle that it became, and
Yeah, God.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely put the kaput on that. Something I think about with Fox in this, and yeah, I completely agree. I think he's fantastic in this movie. This film got, I think it got maybe like a couple of nominations for Oscars, but I do definitely remember one of the things it did definitely get nominated for was Jamie Foxx was nominated for Best Actor, which I'm intrigued by.
Well, no, he won for best. I forget when Ray came out, but I know he won for that. But yeah, he definitely got nominated for supporting for this. And you
Yeah,
know, again, it's like one of the few times where like the Oscars kind of gets it right. And like a movie like this would never be nominated nowadays. But yeah,
yeah, no. Yeah, so that is what fascinates me about it. The fact that this type of performance, which again, excellent, was at least nominated. Like that's
I
really
think
cool.
I think it's because Michael Mann was coming off of The Insider and Ali, and there was kind of this idea that Michael Mann, he could still like command an idea of the Oscars, which I think clearly like that ship has passed. Like, unless Ferrari becomes something you know uniquely interesting, I doubt that
I hope
Man
so.
will ever be
You know,
like because like and this okay to talk about Collateral in this way. I think Collateral is the movie that really determines what Michael Mann is going to be known for, right? Because there's an alternate timeline where Michael Mann, he does, Heat, and you're like, okay, Heat, and he does The Insider, and he does Ali, and there's an alternate version of his career where he could have become like a guy who made prestigious, uh, you know, kind of real life dramas and like biopics, and he could have been that guy. And we see like with the Insider, he could have effortlessly been that guy. There's no, he was extremely good at it. And I think
hmm
those movies not getting him the recognition that frankly he deserves, I think put him on a different path where he realized like, oh no, I have to make basically like not summer entertainment, but I have to make movies that will play wide because like I'm just not going to get recognized for whatever I do. And
sure.
I
Yeah,
think Collateral is like him being like, all right, I'm just going to make a basic genre movie, and it's going to be about my preoccupations, but it's also like showing that I can do this and I can make money. And in a way, it's like I don't want to say a commercial decision or one for them or whatever, because I still think this is a great, it's a part of his career that I would not get rid of, but like you could see like him going back to LA, him going back to like a crime story. It feels like, okay, well, I tried that. Now I'm going to go back to kind of what I know. And, but then like, go into this experimentation with digital that he's doing. And, he's like redirecting his career in a way that's acceptable to him.
yeah. I mean, I agree that it maybe would have been interesting to see like if he had kind of gone more like prestige biopic, but on the other hand, I honestly would not change a like single thing about his career. Like other than him maybe getting to make more movies like this or like Miami Vice or like Black Cat, because obviously, so what? So Black Cat was his most recent film. That was 2016, and we're only getting his
2015.
next movie next year. So obviously, I would have loved if Black Cat didn't like gross 12 million worldwide or whatever. But Yeah.
Well, I think Black Hat was one of those things where it was mismanaged and mismarketed, and they didn't know what to
Oh,
do with it, and
absolutely.
they essentially fucked him over. And
Yeah.
like yeah, that movie, there's a lot of fraud aspects to it, but you know, obviously I adore it. Um, yeah, see, okay, so this bit too with like the guys coming up and just being like randomly douchebags to Max.
Yeah.
I don't think this would happen in like another Michael Mann movie. Like
Probably not.
something this contingent. Yeah, it's just the more I watch this, the more and more I notice like the weird little like aspects that don't align with his general aesthetic vision, which makes this like
Yeah.
again more of the interesting outlier rather than like I think most people look at like the Insider Alley and say like, well, that's weird for Michael Mann to have done that, or like Last Mohicans.
Yeah.
But really, this movie I think is the weird one because um, again, it just feels him kind of pushing out of his like dialogue element and out of his characterization element. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of this is it's way more broad than he usually gets, and not in terms of performance, but in terms of just like dialogue and the way that characters are presented. And yeah, but then then like you'll have these
Yeah.
characters show up, and
And
then
like you have like
Michael Mann
this
will be
moment,
like,
but
he'll be like,
yeah.
all right, gun him down, just
Yeah.
knock him out. Yeah, it's so good. Fucking Tom Cruise, man. Okay, can we talk about Cruise? We're like,
Oh,
however many minutes in, we haven't
yeah,
talked about
yes,
Cruise.
please.
So Tom Cruise, man,
Yeah.
fascinating guy to say the least. This again,
To say the absolute
is
least, but
this the
yeah.
last interesting choice that he makes in his career? And keep in mind, like people,
Um,
we're recording this in 2022, so if in the future Tom
I
Cruise,
get
starts making PTA movies again, like this will be, stupid to talk about. But as of now, this is like really the last time that Cruise tries to take somewhat of a risk in terms of a role. Really, isn't this?
I would say, yeah, I would say this. Him in Tropic Thunder is very unique.
But that's him
To,
having
to
fun.
say the least.
That's because he did that in Austin Powers as well. Like he's, that's him
Oh
having
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I don't really count that. Like,
Okay.
but
No, I guess
like an
my
actual
way of
character.
looking at that. Yeah, but yeah, my way of looking at that in terms of specific role, then I would agree that yeah, this is the last time he took a risky role. But then I would then say, I think for the most part, he still takes he takes risks, but he does it within like it's not the roles that he picks that are the risks. It's then what he does within the roles in terms of like trying to push like how far can you take like practical action. So like it's this is less him he doesn't I don't think he prioritizes roles so much as like okay you have this franchise playground, what now are you going to do that you somehow haven't done before.
Well, he's become, this like this cannonball run stunt guy, like post Jackie Chan, and he's great at it. Don't get me wrong, but he's not taking parts like T.J. Mackey. He's not calling up,
Yeah,
you know. I mean, and that's the interesting thing is that like that bit with Tarantino where he could have been like Cruise could have been Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and like it just didn't happen.
I
And that
completely forgot about that.
and yeah, a lot of people do, and it's one of those things where like you kind of think about it, and you're like, "Fuck, that would
He
have
would
been
have
a perfect
been
part."
he would have been in I'm like no joke, I'm like thinking about him in that role and I'm like getting chills, which like makes me sound so stupid. But like no, he would have been astounding in that.
And
But like
I kind of
I
wish that
still
he
adore
did
Brad Pitt.
do that in a way,
Yeah.
but yeah, again, I don't want to give the Brad Pitt performance because Brad Pitt is amazing in that, but
He's incredible in that movie. But yeah.
I just wish that Cruise like I don't know. After he does these two Mission Impossible movies, I really hope that like he does take some risks again, and even for small roles, even if he just has to show up in something, it would be nice to have him, you know, like operate outside of the stunt guy mold, the blockbuster mold, and because I think he's proven it. Like after these again, after Top
Yeah.
Gun Maverick, after the Mission Impossible 7 and 8. I think we're good. I think we all can be like, Tom Cruise is one of the greatest action stars to ever exist. You did it, Tom. Like, okay, like you don't have to do this
Good
anymore.
job, Tom. You won.
But the thing is, he's also making that movie where he's going to go to space. I mean, like it's fucking
Yeah.
absurd. Frankly, Tom Cruise is an absurd actor to talk about because it's almost as if like you can't just talk about the roles. Is that everything is a part of this big tapestry? And so when we talk about Vincent in this movie, there's
You
the Michael
naturally
Mann
have to
part of
talk
it.
about Tom.
Yeah, there's the Michael Mann part of it, but there's also just the Tom part of it. And I mean, Tom's such a dedicated guy to his roles that like him working with a maniac like Michael Mann, it's a perfect union. It's like Michael Mann and
Match
Daniel
made in heaven.
Lewis. You're like, okay, these two guys are clearly insane and they work well together, and
Yeah.
just because they get their general insane vibes and they operate on that wavelength. And yeah, oh, this part with the jazz is
Yeah.
fucking Top Cruise just gives
It's
us like
wonderful.
soliloquy on jazz. Now what's expected? Improvising like tonight. It's just, like they do the Vincent. He's like, oh, I love jazz. Like what? Like that's Michael
I
Mann
mean, I
thing.
guess
Michael Mann loves fucking jazz. He's like Clint Eastwood. He's like, oh yeah, jazz is great.
no. I was gonna ask this earlier, so I guess that's good. Do you think that in some way Vincent can almost be kind of a like Michael Mann analog, but like just like if like instead of Michael Mann getting into movies, he just got into murder.
Well, that's the interesting part of this is that Michael Mann worked for many years as a cab driver, and so it's almost like the movie is split down the middle between like two versions of himself, where there's like the guy with working class roots and like a down to earth sensibility, and but it still has like the professional etiquette and takes his job seriously. And then there's like the hyper competent, overachieving, um, like highly demanding guy. And it's almost like this movie is like his psyche warring in itself. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I do think that's
I think I like your take substantially more than mine. So yeah, that is a very cool read of like not just Vincent being a manifestation of man, but also Max as well. I think that's very neat.
oh that okay. Barry Shabaka Headley, love him
Love
in
him.
his Michael Mann movies. He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was a strain of movies like where he used to be in everything, and like I wonder if movies have just kind of fallen off because he stopped being in them.
Yeah, what
You
was
know?
he in? He was in The Terminal, which is a fucking awful movie. But he was in Oh, he's in Devil in a Blue Dress. That's right. And he's in Lord of Illusions. Great movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's in a lot of good shit. I do. Yeah, I'm wondering. I guess the last thing that I can see him being in here is like A Star Is Born, which I didn't see. So yeah, I don't know. But he's cool as hell.
Hmm. Yeah. He was recently. I recently rewatched one of my favorite movies, which is Jim Jarmusch's Patterson, and he has a role in that, and he's really lovely in that, and playing a very like fitting role for him. So I would just love him to sort of have some sort of comeback.
What's great about him is that he can really switch from this gregarious like talkaholic mode into being like ice cold and just completely shut down. And
Yeah,
he's got such a command of his tonal range and how his face works and how his voice will like modulate itself. And really just a great character actor.
yeah. He has this very specific face coming up where like I can't remember what it is that Vincent says to him, but like it's just clear his blood like runs cold, and like he's not just scared.
He's like,
He's like,
I gotta tell the people in Coolacan that story.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he's just looking at him. He's like, you motherfucker. And
yeah,
again, we have like the Michael Mann like just going right behind Vincent's ear,
very
and
low.
just
Yeah,
zooming in. It's so good.
very low zoom, or like excuse me, very slow zoom. Yeah, it just sends like a chill up your spine.
Just when I thought you were a cool guy, I am a cool guy with a job I contracted to do. That is like some like my David Mamet dialogue. I'm a cool guy
Yeah,
with a
absolutely.
job I have been contracted to do.
Normally, if like someone says they're cool, they're not cool, but like in this instance, somehow you buy it.
If you say you're a cool guy, you're not a cool guy.
Exactly.
A jazz question.
Trivial Pursuit, starring Vincent Collateral.
Oh, if it's a collateral, I forgot. I will go so far away, it'll be just like I was dead.
Absolutely love that quote.
Oh, see, I love this little like these nuances of where like he looks around him to see that the waitress is gone, and
Mhm.
like there's a great degree of even when you're in this intimate conversation, you do get like an awareness of the space.
Mhm. I'm kind of interested to know your take on the scene. Um is if he had been like a little more specific with his answer. Do you really think Vincent would have let him live, or was he just fucked no matter what?
No, I think what happened is that Vincent basically was fucking with him, but
Yeah,
then during the
it
process
was
of
all just a
fucking with
trick.
him, realized that like, oh man, like maybe I shouldn't have done that because he actually like you know what I mean, like he actually got the answer, and
Hmm.
I think Vincent was expecting him to like, basically lock up and become like nervous, and he was like, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm just gonna, I know my shit. Fuck you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. And his things. Oh, leave me alone. I'm Collateral. He said the title of the movie. I love it. It's the title of the movie in the movie. It's my favorite thing. It's
You
like,
said it. You said it. Roll credits.
yeah, we just get the yeah. Let's go. Fucking. I guess you could say I am Collateral.
Yeah, there's like I'm not even sure what it was or what it is about the way that like Vincent punched Max like just like a few moments ago, but it looks weird, but I also kind of believe like I think it's maybe like he puts a lot of stride into each punch. Do you like get what I'm like trying to say, or is this complete like gobbledygook?
Sure. Well, I mean, like Cruz has like a weird way of moving his body where
Yeah.
he's like a freight train, and like once you're in his path, it's like it's like the eye of Sauron
Xanatoba.
staring down at you, and you're like, oh, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I'm not related to you. Tell her yourself. I love this guy on the fucking CB radio who's just such a dick.
Yeah. This like whole entire bit that's coming up with Max's mom is a sequence that I like more. It's the one sequence in this movie that every single time I rewatch this film I like more and more, just because. And we'll see it when we get to the scene. But how Max, or excuse me, how Vincent interacts with her, I just find really almost kind of powerful in a way where it's maybe the most kind of like
She carried you in
somewhat.
her womb for 9 months.
Yeah.
Well, in a weird way, like it's almost as if because he's so detached from any sense of like normal life, and you can't imagine him really having family in the way that Max does.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like then he can become like very gregarious and kind and charming at the drop of a hat,
Exactly.
and it takes no
Yes.
effort for him
Yeah.
because he doesn't have any attachment to it.
Yeah.
See, now this bit with Ruffalo getting into the same elevator, this is like this is too cute for school shit. Like this, like I love it. Don't get me wrong, but like it is.
It's almost like a comedy of errors bit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it really, really does, and like it works. But I,
it
whenever I
is
see
almost a little too cute.
whenever
Sure,
I see it, I'm like, this is like, it's just like it always just it's a strange part of the movie. Oh, I forgot that he has like
sure.
the earring in one ear. Fucking
Oh God.
so good.
uh,
Ruffalo the Buffalo.
that's
Let's go.
good. Ruffalo the Buffalo. Haven't heard that one before, but now I don't think I'll forget it.
Yeah, I'm sorry for infecting you with my own brain worms. You can send me the hospital bill later.
All right.
Yeah, the with with Vincent not like you get the sense that like he just doesn't have his own mother, so he's like when he gets the chance to like entertain Max's, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I actually am a good person. You know, he's like he in a way bullshitting her is almost like him bullshitting himself and thinking that it's like, oh, you know what? I am as slick as I think, and it's
Sure.
just
Yeah, I think how I also kind of I sometimes also interpret it as, yeah, like, just probably didn't have that good of an upbringing, and here's maybe one moment where he can actually, whether or not it's real, he can pretend to at least be nice, or maybe this is almost like he can feel like he's normal for like 5 seconds.
the way he looks. He's like, God damn it.
I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but I think like the sort of charisma of Vincent is something that I think really works with the character. Where if he was like this contract killer in like a slightly different way, you'd almost be too scared of him to talk with him. But I do like that there is this almost like gravitational pull where he can just strike up a conversation with seemingly anybody.
Well, yeah, in a way, you get the impression that if the guy didn't fall out the window, that this entire night would happen, and he would be killing all these people, and Max would basically be none the wiser, and he would just think
Sure.
like, oh, he's just like this gregarious guy who's very busy, and it's like like watching Vincent's carefully constructed niceness fall away as the movie progresses is interesting. Where it's almost as if like he relishes the chance to be the outsider who enters into these people's lives and
Yeah.
can like fuck around freely because he just doesn't have any relation to anything. So like when he asks Barry Shabaka Henley the jazz question, it's almost like a game. It's like, oh, let me play this, let me push this button and see what happens, and
Sure.
it's like a challenge for himself to put himself in these situations and see like how do I react and like what happens, and in a way that is very similar to just the Tom Cruise ethos in general
Yeah.
of him, like
Speaking of Tom Cruise ethos,
running. Let's
like
go.
currently seeing one of the like integral things of Tom, yeah, running.
Let the man run. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
Also, oh my god, the colors in this movie. I love the colors. This movie
Same.
is all about like the the
Very
oranges
green, very
and
orange.
like the aquamarine colors and the fluorescent lights, and it just looks magnificent. And what I love
Mhm.
is that this movie does really capture the idea of light pollution in the sky in a way that not a lot of movies do, because like the sky has this
Yeah.
orange haze all over it that kind of gives it like a sickly look. It's very cool.
Not. Yeah, yeah. I like that you use that word sickly because I think one of the most impressive things about the look of the movie is it is making these kind of garish things look beautiful in a way that I'm just really drawn to.
Yeah, see, in a way, similar to how Max got his cab damaged by Vincent, like he's returning the favor by damaging and destroying his briefcase,
Yeah.
and like that symbolizes uh, Vincent's work. You know, when Statham gave it to him, all my prep was in there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good. Okay, and I've been rewatching these movies recently. Tell me that this movie does not like kind of feel adjacent in some respects to the like the John Wick universe.
I could I see Vincent fitting pretty well inside the John Wick universe. Sure, that there's this whole entire like underground thing going on, and like you're kind of like none the wiser to. But then yeah, like like Max is inadvertently being pulled into this world instead of like Vincent or like John, who's been in the world for however long.
Oh yeah, the wound pattern, the Mozambique technique, the classic Michael Mann thing. Everyone always shoots two in the body and one in the head from the very beginning. Placed all his like hero characters. Yeah, I don't know. To anyone like in who's listening who actually shoots guns and has maybe killed people, first of all, don't contact me. But also, if you
Yeah.
do, like if you shoot someone twice in the chest and once in the head, is that effective? It seems like it's pretty effective from this movie, but like I don't know. Like there's stuff in movies where I'm not sure whether or not that's like applicable in real life, but this kind of
You
seems.
would imagine no, you would imagine just shooting someone like once in the head would do it, you know?
Well, I think the idea is like you plug them two times in the chest and it staggers them, right? And so like they don't
Yeah.
move, right? Because they're just stunned.
And then the kill shot.
And then
Yeah.
like because they're stunned, then you could efficiently just dispatch them and not have a problem with it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh man, Peter Berg in this movie is like such a fucking loser cop. He's so bad.
That,
He's so, like that's another like non-Michael Mann thing. Peter Berg is just like a fuck up. He's just like, you're waking me up. Why do we have to do this, Mark Ruffalo? I was like, shut the fuck up, Peter Berg. Shut the fuck up.
yeah,
So
he is like one of those very weird like actor, but also now mainly does like writer and director
well, he's a Michael
stuff.
Mann protege, you know? He's a Michael Mann produced Hancock, the greatest movie ever. Remember Hancock?
Oh god. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Come on. When are we
That
doing
is
the
what I have to say
Hancock
about Hancock.
commentary? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Hancock. Forget Collateral. Can we just talk about Hancock right now?
I mean, I guess if I was theoretically wrangled into talking about Hancock, I
If I
could
had a
definitely at
gun to
least
your
talk
head,
all
two
about
to your
Will
chest, one to the head, and I was like, Hancock, we got to do it.
Smith.
Okay, so this thing with Vincent's dad, do you think
Yeah.
this is real? Do you think some of this is real? Because he says this bullshit later, but half of it I think is
Uh,
real.
I guess I hadn't necessarily thought about it that like I kind of initially took his word that it's bullshit, but then like maybe the actual bullshit is that he wasn't bullshitting Max.
That's the thing is, I think he's fucking
Um,
with him by telling him the truth, but then pretending it's a game. And
sure. No,
like, I do think he's actually being real, but he's like kind of seeing like, will he actually believe me or not?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, I guess like I at least kind of intuit, especially so.
See,
Yeah,
when,
with
when, you,
this,
when you say he's kidding, like when he says that, the camera's not on him when he's saying that. There's interesting like absence
sure,
of
you're like watching Max's. Yeah.
yeah. You're seeing his reaction, so it's kind of positioned in an interesting way.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I guess like I even if it's not like one to one the truth, I do feel at least with this scene and then with how he interacted with Max's mother, Vincent definitely had some sort of fucked up upbringing that like would create the type of person that he is now.
Yeah, definitely. I, I love this part where like they're traversing through like this highway surrounded by all like this industrial district, all the smoke pouring
Mhm.
out of these towers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely at least to me another example of like taking these environments that most people would just kind of like drive by or not think about or even think are kind of ugly, and then it's turned into this kind of like mythical moment.
Yeah. Oh, is this the part? Yeah, Javier Bardem. We're getting him. Man,
Oh god,
this cast is nuts. Remember when movies used to have like good
stacked,
casts? Remember that shit, guys?
right?
Remember when
Well,
movies used to have
yeah,
like
like
casts of like interesting character actors and everyone in the movie was like a cool guy? Like
yeah,
that was
yeah,
great.
yeah,
That was
yeah, like
awesome.
not even just like having like stacked cast, but also like having like known or at least like qualified character actors who aren't there just for like a cameo, but are actually like playing like characters, even if their roles are small.
You know, guys, movies used to have Wilford Brimley in them. Think about that.
Oh,
We used to be something. We used to be a goddamn country that made movies with Wilford
Collateral
Brimley.
definitely, yeah.
Wilford Brimley was in a Tom
If there,
Cruise movie. He was in The Firm. He was like threatening Tom Cruise. Fucking what
yeah,
happened?
if there is at least one way Collateral could have been improved, it definitely could have been improved with Wilford Brimley playing somebody, you know.
I don't. I don't know like where he would fit in to any of this
Yeah.
Michael Mann world.
Michael Mann would be able to make it work. I'm just now imagining Wilford Brimley within like the like Michael Mann universe. How fun that would be.
Also, this is such a great conceit for a scene, and this is a real actorly moment, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
he has to act like he's Vincent. It's really good. It's so
Mm.
it's just a great like example of like showing the dynamic between two characters by having one impersonate the other, and
Yeah.
that really just tells you about what their perspective of him is. Like immediately, like he just goes into this bit of you know being like, I will fucking like beat his ass and like not give two
mhm.
shits about it, and like that's kind of how he sees Vincent in a way.
Yeah, I think also something I personally like about this sequence is I feel like this is like right around the midpoint of the movie, and I like that it sort of is marking that like so like at this point we're viewing Max as like that this victim who's in this really shitty situation and like he's seemingly not going to get out of it
But
alive,
now he self
but then
actualizes.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so for the first time we are seeing that like Max maybe could actually defeat Vincent by the end of this.
Also, something I love about the way that Michael Mann portrays um, a lot of his urban spaces that there's always like different cultures and different languages, and like you feel like you're traversing this multifaceted city that doesn't just contain this one like monolithic idea of um, like what a criminal is or what a cop is or whatever. There's this traversal. Oh, Bruce McGill! I forgot he was in this. Fucking Bruce McGill. He is in this. Fuck. See, that's what I'm talking about. Movies just have Bruce McGill in them. What the hell,
Yeah, we truly have lost our way.
dude? Fucking. Wait, is he dead? No, he's not dead. He just hasn't been in shit for like years, dude. Bruce McGill. Okay, here's what Bruce McGill's been in: Collateral, Lincoln, The Insider, Law Abiding Citizen, Legally Blonde 2, Ali, Mad Men, The Last Boy Scout, Time Cop, fucking Cliffhanger, and Elizabethtown. But
Yeah.
fucking, this is a perfect world. Come on, man, Bruce McGill, fucking go, dude. He's so good. See, I like this thing too, where like Ruffalo is like literally the only guy in the LAPD with like two working brain cells to figure this shit out. That like maybe something's
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
there, and everyone's else like, you're on. I don't know. Like maybe you should. And it's like, fucking believe.
yeah.
I just want to
It's
say I believe Mark Ruffalo. I believe him. Okay, whatever his truth is, I believe it.
For sure. No. Yeah, his thing. Yeah, I like that he does. As we were talking earlier, he kind of looks like a doofus, but he's like not stupid. He does have, like you said, at the very least, he has like two brain cells.
Oh, dude, this weird club where like, what do you even describe this? It's almost like a black light. Like
Yeah.
everything's like lit up with this weird fluorescence, and
Mhm.
it's just very strange. A lot of blues in this movie,
Yeah.
but then again, there's also just a lot of blues in general, and especially Michael Mann's earlier work.
Yeah, if I could think of maybe a reason why it has the fluorescent lighting, I like that it kind of puts it out. It makes the space much more off-putting. That like even if Vincent went in here, he would not be welcomed. But then when you have Max in here, he is doubly like completely out of his element.
Yeah, well, in a way, Vincent would just walk in here and like not give a fuck, basically.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be taller. Like, in a weird way, okay, like Tom Cruise is not that tall, so I probably have the same reaction if Vincent walked in there and be like, "Yeah, I thought you'd be
Yeah.
taller."
Yeah. I'm not sure how tall Jamie Foxx. I have to imagine Fox is at least 6 foot, and I
Jamie
know
Foxx
for
has
sure
got to be taller than Cruise, right? That's got to be true,
it has
right?
to be
Come
absolutely.
on,
Well, I
hold
mean,
on. I'm gonna look this shit
you
up.
know,
Hold on, hold on.
most people are taller than Tom Cruise. Sorry.
How tall is Jamie Foxx? Let me see this shit. Let me see. Oh no. Okay, hold on, hold on. He's 5'9". Okay. All
Really?
right. So okay. Well, you know what? Okay. All right.
So are they like maybe the same height then?
So
Because
I would say
or
yeah, they're about the same then. That's
yeah,
wow.
because Tom's 5'8", 5'9", right?
Okay, so that does make sense. I guess it all works out in the end. Discovering new. Dude, this almost seems like a scene from The Counselor. You know, with his
Oh
character
God, the
Burnett.
counselor.
Oh, dude, I gotta do a Counselor commentary. That film fucking
You should.
rules. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's fun. Yeah.
That's another movie that could kind of take place in this like quasi Michael Mann underworld hell universe, like of
Oh yeah, no, that yeah,
crime
that
politics and terrible shit happening.
yeah,
Do you believe in
that
Humpty
movie
Dumpty?
does
Do you believe in Santa
pretty
Claus?
much.
He's so good.
Yeah. The counselor does pretty much take place in hell. Like that's one of
Oh
the
my
most
god,
fascinating things about
100%,
that movie.
100%. It's well, it takes place in hell, and then hell is just like Texas.
Yeah. Hell is having an especially bad day during the events of the counselor.
Nah, man, I was talking about it. I'm like, fuck, I need to watch The Counselor again. Whenever I talk about movies that I love, I'm like, I should be doing that.
You
And
just
I
get
also
jazzed up.
realized like I'm watching Collateral, which is a movie that I also love. So
Yeah,
like, too many good movies out there. That's what I say.
for sure.
See, okay, there's bits of this, like, okay, this whole exchange, man, you could say there's like a heat quality to it, but not really. This there's a lot more like scripty, like very. I would almost want to even say like quasi Tarantino-y dialogue in this. Like, doesn't this strike you as like, all right, here's the big monologue of the movie? Like, when in like a Michael Mann film, when does anyone ever get like a monologue? Does that ever? I mean,
Yeah,
maybe in Thief with Robert Brodsky, but even then, it's not like
mhm.
that long. It's not as long as this.
Yeah, I guess like Man, like so while Tarantino's more monologues, I think Man is more of a line guy. You know, where like someone will say one or two lines that like
Yeah, he's a
really stick
dialectic
with
guy.
you
It's a
when they're
back and
trying to.
forth reaction thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about him, but like, yeah, this the script was written by Stuart Beattie, who's this Australian
yeah.
writer, and he wrote scripts
Pirates of the
for
Caribbean, right?
no. He wrote for movies like The Legend of Tarzan, 30 Days of Night, I Frankenstein, and
Oh, that guy.
Points, GI Joe: The Rise of Cobra. So an interesting fellow. That's what I'll say
No,
about him.
I mean Yeah. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. I believe, and I'm not sure how accurate this is. I've at least heard rumors that like his script was rewritten by both Michael Mann and I believe Frank Darabont did
Really?
uncredited
Okay.
rewrites.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Shit happens. See, but this is like almost like the real Jamie Foxx, you know? Like he almost just plays himself in real life where he's like, ah, you know what? Actually, I am a cool, funny motherfucker. You know?
Sure.
You don't want to fuck with me. Like he just he it's interesting thing where like he has to not act in order to act as Vincent.
Yeah.
Also, we're getting into Michael Mann's obsession with emergent surveillance technologies.
I mean, hey, like the like kind of like square CCTV footage it looks pretty neat being shot in digital, you know.
Oh, I think so. I think it looks great. He's like, all right, take my USB. See, what I don't understand about this scene though is that so like like does Vincent did he not like remember his other two targets or
I mean,
like I
I'm
don't
guessing
understand
like
like why he would not have access to them if he like threw his briefcase. Like, does he just not look at them? Or I guess because he just gets the briefcase. Maybe it's like, all right, here's your list in order, and da 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 da, and like here's how you. I don't know. Like, I'm wondering how prescriptive that is, or
yeah. So from what I understand, it's like so you're putting it on this computer that like I'm imagining so that there's no like physical trace of it, and then I'm sure as soon as you like take it out of the computer, you could just like destroy the thumb drive, and then the information's like gone.
well, I guess, but it's like his briefcase had like papers and stuff in it. I don't know. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
a
yeah, I
weird little
guess
bit
so.
of like MacGuffin plotting that I'm not quite sure about. I don't really give too much of a shit if I'm being frank. It's just like I've watched this movie like fucking whatever how many times, and now I'm finally
Yeah.
noticing some shit where I'm like, hey, how does this work? Hmm.
Yeah. Some things just
There'll be
work
his
because
license.
you're only kind of half thinking about them.
A little bit of like robotic gesture. He just like yoinks it out of his hand. Oh, also early touchscreen. You know, Cruz has
Oh
got
yeah,
like the early iPad here. Interesting.
good for him.
Flip phones. I wonder if flip phones coming back in movies. Can we make that happen again?
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean, I guess so. So I feel like are we at like '90s in terms of nostalgia and culture? So like we
oh
will like
god.
be to
I
the
don't know.
2000s and maybe another 5 years.
God, I just hope we stop feeling nostalgic for anything. You know what I'm nostalgic for? I'm nostalgic for pre-code cinema. That's what I'm nostalgic for.
Fair.
Can we have sex in movies again? Can we have horniness in
I
movies?
hope so.
Let's
Yeah,
bring that back. Let's bring that back.
I would love that as well.
Although, okay, one thing about 2000s nostalgia that I will say is if that means that we get someone trying to recreate the crazy, batshit insane, like late Tony Scott style that he came up with in the
Oh yeah,
2000s, if we get
yeah,
ripoffs of that, I'm in on it. I'm like, yeah, bring it back.
sure,
Let's
absolutely.
do it.
Yeah,
Although, then again, only Tony can do Tony, so who am I kidding at the end
true.
of the day?
Yeah. Someone is at least more than welcome to try.
I never liked this in movies when like Peter Berg here. He's like, we saw him in there talking to the bad guys. I don't like. Do people actually talk like this? Do people say like? Do they refer to their opponents or who they're going after as the bad guys? Like, does I mean, I'm
I
sure
would
this does
imagine,
happen, but like, it seems
yeah.
it just always strikes me as a bit of an off bit of color where I don't understand like why it's like it's like referring to them as like but he's the antagonist like oh, what.
I mean, I guess like I would imagine maybe that's almost been like one of those things that was adopted from movies into real life, where you're trying to ground yourself, as in like you are the person who's in the right, and you're going after this person because they're in the wrong, and that helps kind of like reassure you, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, this digital photography is nuts with the fucking plane. It's
So
fucking
good.
insane. Yeah, for anyone who has lived in Los Angeles, I would like to know, like, given their journey across the city in this movie and the various locales they go into, I do wonder, like, is this like, could you feasibly like take the Collateral like tour almost? Like, is it a coherent
Out rock.
way that you could travel? Because they mentioned like getting off at this place and that place, and I'm wondering, how accurate is all that? I don't know.
I'm guessing there is some kind of like reasonable jumping around in some way. At least it's probably not like a one way thing, but you would hope you could do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we are at least to me the prelude of my personal favorite sequence in the movie,
Oh
which is of course the whole entire montage.
yeah. Life is short. Time is luck. Uh. Michael Mann,
It-
Michael Mann, you should have put that shit in this movie. You should have. You should have put time as luck in here. We want to see
yeah.
it. Speaking of Scorsese playing "Gimme Shelter," Michael Mann have a character say "time is luck." I just love it. I love hearing it. In Ferrari,
Mhm.
we better have someone be like Adam Driver. Better be like, time is luck." I want to hear it.
I would hope.
Great.
Yeah,
Nope. There he goes into the great blue yonder.
there he is.
So like, it's nuts to me that Michael Mann like him and his crew were just like, "Oh, Coyote, get it on. We'll put it in the movie." And they're like, "What?" But it's perfect. It looks great. It's
No,
just
it's
and yeah, Chris Cornell
yeah
as a villain.
yeah yeah. If I can give you my personal read on this film and kind of why I think Vincent reacts the way that he does, if that seems symbolic, I think like so like Vincent, you can kind of view Vincent as like this, as we've talked about before, this kind of like wild animal, this wolf, and I think that him seeing you have the first wolf and then the second wolf that's following it, I kind of think it's like Vincent realizing he is in the presence of like another wolf, but like he's realizing in this moment that Max is this wolf, and he's kind of like reigned with the fact that, oh, I actually might be in danger, and he kind of is maybe almost excited by that a little bit.
Hmm. I'm not quite sure I totally buy that, but it's interesting.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm completely fine with you like not agreeing with that, but that's kind of why
Yeah, everything you
that's
just
part of
said,
why I like that.
Noah, is full of shit. Yeah, what do you
Yeah,
know?
no, no, yeah, I think I especially think like he kind of has a like sly smile in that, so
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by that decision. So
yeah,
that's
you're
why
right.
I kind of think of the thing of like if he's not happy, he's at least kind of maybe excited that there is this bit of a challenge.
True. Okay, so a lot of nightclubs in Michael Mann movies. Do you feel like Michael Mann has ever like? Do you think he hangs out in nightclubs? Is that a thing? Do you think
God, I
he
would
does?
hope so.
Do you think he hangs out in nightclubs listening to Audio Slave and fucking Jay-Z in
You
Lincoln
would
Park.
think,
Do you think he does it? Because I
uh,
really hope he
I
does.
hope so, man.
My man is like however many years old, and he's just like, let's go out. Let's fucking
Bumping to a fucking encore. Yeah.
God. I Someone record this. Can someone find Michael Mann at the nearest nightclub, hanging out and just drinking mojitos, listening to Numb Encore? Because I feel like that would just be a priceless artifact.
Yeah.
Now, see this though, like when we get to the club, then like this to me is a very like you look at the way things are filmed and the skin tones and everything, and it's way more like the 35 millimeter film stock of it is so much more apparent. Um,
Yeah.
because then like things stop looking so cold and fluorescent now. Like
Mm.
you kind of get to see the warmth in people's faces. Like it's not incongruous with the rest of the movie, but it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, not that is like I do think that is one of the most impressive things about the film is like when it switches back between film and digital, it's even if maybe sometimes you could say it's obvious, like they don't
Well, to the
clash.
average
It's
person, I
all
don't think they notice it, but
yeah,
I think it does a nice hat trick where because it transitions from indoors to outdoors, like you don't.
for sure.
It's not like it just cuts from one thing to another, and it's like, okay, well, what is this? It's it uses almost like a Ozu pillow shot transition scene. I love this bit. Innocent bystanders get the first rounds. It just goes out of focus. Yeah, 2004 clubs. I wasn't there. We'll never be there, but looks pretty great. People having a
Yeah,
good time. They got
certainly
hitman
looks
and
fun.
police officers wandering in the crowds with loaded assault weapons.
Yeah. If there is any scene that is especially a like John Wick scene, then obviously like this is it. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. I do wonder if Stahelski like had watched this movie and kind of took some bits. Although the John Wick movies are such an amalgam of so many different aspects.
Cruz's fucking like facial
He's
expressions.
so good. He's so good. He just gets very intense.
He just yeah,
It almost
he
makes
just
like he's like an
genuinely
anime character. He's like, ugh.
yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
What do you think Tom Cruise's favorite anime is?
That is a very loaded question to spring onto someone.
All right, well, I'm springing it
Um,
onto you. Fucking
uh, uh,
spring it.
let's. I'm gonna go with Berserk, specifically the like '90s, like OVA Berserk.
There we go. Yeah, I would definitely say like Azumanga Daioh or something is more of his speed, but yeah, it's kind of crazy in like this scene with so many people that you never exactly get confused as to where everyone's at in the club. It's
Hmm.
really like
It's impressive
it seems like it would be a hard thing to do, but man just knows where to put the camera.
for sure.
So like if someone comes to your club and starts screaming like FBI, hands in the air, like I don't know. I feel like immediately we just have like people running for the fire exits. But in this, like people are still partying until the guns go off.
I guess I kind of have reasonable like like suspension of belief because like clubs are like fucking loud, you know. So it's like the only thing that's gonna pierce like yelling or whatever would be like gunshots.
I guess so.
I'd be kind of curious to ask you, and if it is this, then that'd be perfect timing. Do you have a particular like favorite action sequence from a Michael Mann movie?
Oh God. Mm, so many good ones. I mean, It depends on what we count as like a singular action sequence. Okay, if I'm being frank, it is and I'm not being frank because that's the character from Thief that James Caan plays. If I'm not being frank, if I'm lying to you, but also telling the truth in my lies, I would say probably just the entire last stretch of Last of the Mohicans, where the music starts
Awesome.
going, and they start running towards the cliff, and it just lasts for like 10 minutes
It's
straight of just it's like a
gorgeous.
10 minute music video. Like that to me,
Yeah,
I think it's just a perfect piece of cinema, just like a discrete moment, and the way it's all timed with the music and everything that happens and how it
yeah,
mixes character and like crazy action and great choreography and the beautiful face of the mountainside. And I don't know, to me it's like the total package. You get everything there.
for sure. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Last of the Mohicans was the very first Michael Mann film I saw. So like that was my exposure
Oh wait, no,
to him.
okay, yes, okay, what I said earlier was a fucking lie because I saw Last of the Weekends in history class. That was my intro, although I didn't know it was
Oh,
Michael Mann
nice.
at the time. I didn't find out until later.
Yeah,
um so yeah, he and Collateral were like the first ones that I watched, kind of knowing it was Mann. But yeah, Last of the Weekends is fucking rules. I'm sorry, Last of the
yeah,
Weekends is great,
really, really good movie.
so good. Also, like Collateral, it's one of his few, I think, sub 2 hour movies. I think his only two. How long is Black Cat? I think Black Cat's longer than 2 hours.
Black Cat's like I think like 2 hours 12 minutes or something like that. I'd
Yeah.
imagine. But yeah, yeah. Among the many things that I like about Collateral, like the fact that this movie runs at almost a like literally to the second 2 hour runtime is
Oh yeah.
definitely nice.
Thank God for that. Thank fucking God. So sick of like movies. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. Nope. Sorry, you're out. Fucking 3 hours or bust,
Two
baby.
hours
Sorry.
or two and a half. You got to do one or the other.
Even 2.5, I'm kind of out on. I'm like, give me a bit longer. Like
Sure.
this is how I feel whenever I watch Goodfellas. I'm like, I can use another 30 minutes. Can we get another 30 minutes of Goodfellas? Can we add that onto there? I just like
Sure.
it's not
Yeah.
needed, but I'm like, fuck it. You might as well just give me it.
Hmm.
It's like Casino, right? 3 hours of Casino. I'm in and out. I'm good. It's a
Yeah.
fun time. I'm rocking and rolling. So this bit, fucking Ruffalo the Buffalo gets killed. Fuck
Yeah.
that man. Fucked up.
Yeah, it's yeah, and I do really like I like how the film kind of knows how like unfair and kind of tragic it is, and then how well you see that where like Max is like pissed in like a way that I haven't seen many movie characters be like visibly mad.
I should have saved him because he believed you. Vincent's such a piece of shit, man.
Yeah. He is very fun to watch, but yeah, obviously a terrible human being.
No, actually, I think Vincent's a role model. I think he's a real role model for all the impressionable youths out there. Um,
Yeah.
just again, everyone who's interested in becoming like a professional contract killer, watch this movie. You'll learn all the ropes and see how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah. I do like almost wonder like I mean maybe like kind of like the type of people who like look up to like the driver from Drive and like kind of like make those like Sigma posts about like Ryan Gosling. Now I'm kind of curious why like Vincent like doesn't show up more with kind of like Driver or
That's a good point.
Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, I don't know. It might just be the Cruise of it all, and that Cruise is kind of like a weird figure, and he doesn't quite fit within that clinical, like, I don't know, almost like post ironic Sigma whatever bullshit. Um,
Yeah.
and I think also because this movie goes out of its way, at like especially at this juncture, to kind of like when he's talking about like what's wrong with you, kind of like that's the kind of secret of this movie is that Vincent is a fucking loser. Like he's not just a jerk, but he's like a loser, and
Sure.
like his whole facade. I mean, okay, the way that Cruz looks in these shots, he looks like a fucking zombie.
Yeah,
He looks
he
so
looks like
haunted. His eyes look like vacant and dead. He just looks so wounded
yeah.
and fucking, I don't know, incredible lighting and just the,
Hmm.
maybe it's like some of the
You
makeup.
can like see like the like bags underneath his eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like a living corpse. And when Max is just eviscerating him, you realize like, yeah, Vincent ultimately is just like damaged goods. And
Hmm.
like the real
Yeah.
tragedy of him is that he doesn't have enough self-awareness or self-control to realize like when someone is speaking the truth about him. Like with this, right? Like Max speaks some truth about him and he just dismisses it, instead of
Yeah.
like answering the question, he like redirects it back at him and like tries to hurt him even worse.
No, yeah, but yeah, it's fun, yeah, watching him do that. But then, yeah, you as an audience are very clearly seeing that yeah, Vincent was genuinely hurt by the things that Max was saying.
Well, because the only reason why he would go this hard on him is if he was hurt in that capacity.
Yeah.
Now Barca Lounger, I'll tell you what. Anyone in 2022 chilling out with their Barca Lounger? I know I am. Just having a good time. I don't even know if they make them anymore.
I'm not sure if I've like even ever heard that name before, so
Yeah,
I
it
am not
feels
a
like
good
a very
person to ask about that.
2004 like bit of dialogue. Also, okay, can we talk about this? I Why hasn't this movie been remade? And not this
um,
movie specifically, but this premise. Why hasn't this
the
premise been
style.
stolen? Like the premise of
Um,
the script is that like two people in a vehicle, like one's like a killer or some kind of like dangerous person, and the other one's just like an average Joe, and like they got to traverse this locale, and like they grow to understand each other and like discover their contrasts and grow as people. Like this seems like a basic premise that you could steal for so many other different types of movies, and no one's done it. Like, where are the Collateral ripoffs in the way that they're all like the Die Hard ripoffs? Because I feel like it's such a great template for movies that, I mean, we have enough distance from them where, like, you could do it. I don't think anyone
sure.
complained. Like, would anyone complain in 2022 being like, all right, like Collateral, whatever is coming out, but it's the remixed version, and be like, oh, Collateral, oh my god, it's not a Marvel movie, thank God, we get Collateral too.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, I am kind of it's yeah. You making the joke about Clairol too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, off the top of my head, so I know Michael Mann's wanting to adapt Heat 2 into a movie. That that would be his first sequel, right? Like he's never done a sequel before.
Yes, it would be. Although technically, like, depending on, I mean, he does Miami Vice the show, and then he makes the movie.
Oh,
Eh,
true. Yeah, good
kind of in
point.
that ballpark, but not really, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love this shit of like, oh, you think you're such an edgy, cool nihilist? Whatever, who gives a fuck then? Like it's such a great refutation of like, you
Yeah,
know, what does it matter then? It's like, well, what does it matter if I flip over this fucking car and kill your ass?
exactly. I'm not sure what it is about like the like but like the shot where he runs into like the barricade and there's the very slow motion flip. It's like lit in like moves in a way that's really compelling, and I can't quite put my finger on like what the technical aspect was with it, but looks cool as shit. In
Well, I
other
think it's
words,
the fact that the digital, like the frame rate,
yeah,
oftentimes like is a little bit higher. So when there's rapid motion, you kind of see it more clearly. Although obviously, I
yeah,
think this movie is, it's 24 frames, but there's a smoothness to, I don't know, the interpolation between the frames. I don't know how cameras work.
yeah.
I don't know how technology works, but I'm
Me
vaguely
neither.
throwing around terms that I claim to understand. Also, this is like the most unrealistic LAPD interaction where
No,
like
no, no. Yeah,
like
he's like
a guy
way too
crashes a car and he's like, sir, are you okay? It's like, nah, man, like this is the real
yeah.
LA. Like, don't worry about the cab. Look at your new one, man. This motherfucker, like, come on, man. Like, Max in LA just getting this cab crashed randomly. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. I forgot the part where he
Yeah,
sees the dead body inside.
and yeah. Then that's why it's like put your hands up. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. I think what I like about this moment is like Max isn't even like frustrated. Like he's like relieved that like if he's going to jail, at least he's being taken away. Until of course he sees the computer.
When did this become a
And the
negotiation?
negotiation. Yeah,
He's like, call the cops. Meanwhile, like, he fucking
like he like
puts hands
handcuffed a
together.
cop. Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, and then that too. He literally can't
Oh,
do
I love this
anything.
shot of like the street is almost totally empty. It's like a weird
It's
ghost town of a city.
really cool.
He takes the
I
guy's
just like
phone.
completely
He's like,
just
"Give me
like
that." The guy's like,
yeah,
"Well,
yeah.
okay."
Just like totally eat shit. Like almost kind of like a like almost kind of like Looney Tunes, like Scooby Doo
See,
falling over.
that's the kind of shit that like would not be in another Michael Mann movie. It's only this
Yeah,
one that has those kind of weird comedic bits. Now, the music here, I think, is James Newton Howard's score, which I think is pretty good. Now, this whole like suspense sequence where he's chasing after Vincent, little bit of Hitchcock going here, a little bit like the part where
sure.
he's on top of the building and like he's looking between the two spaces and like and then like you look from the building's perspective and you can see him on the parking lot of the like the top of the floor and I don't know, it's like a like you can do that with digital, right? You could just do it on location. And that's another thing about this film is it's basically, as far as I know, all on location. Like it feels
Hmm.
like it. There's no, it just you can the immediacy is such a visceral, real part, and Michael Mann's always so good at that, right? Like Heat
For sure.
basically has no sets, and it's all like location stuff, and yeah, most of his movies do have that like very lived in naturalistic feel to them, even though like they are as stylized as they are. I mean, like with Miami Vice, like there'll be like real life footage of like hurricanes happening, and Michael Mann will be like, keep rolling," and like it's like, "What? Oh my god!"
Oh boy. No, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, while Max is or while Vincent is in this building, he gets an axe at some point, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, I like how, especially when there's that one moment in the dark, he kind of becomes a like slasher villain
Oh,
to me in
100%.
like a really
Yes,
cool
yes,
way.
yes, he does. Yeah. It's again a little bit outside of Mann's wheelhouse, but it totally works. It's fun. I think it's fun and playful, and yeah, Vincent just becomes like a straight up stone cold like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna get
Yeah,
your ass, and he
rocks.
becomes this like Jason Voorhees type character.
So
Um,
cool.
Also, like great touch in this movie where at the beginning you see him coming out of this building, and it's almost like he scouted it beforehand, and
Mhm.
then like because he sees her as she enters, then he exits, and you could tell he's like, okay, I know she's gonna be here, you know, when I end my night's run, right? So like I can rely on her being in this place, and so like I know what I gotta do when I come back. It's like that explains kind of like why he knows like basically the layout of the building and like where to break the phone line and all that shit, and like
Hmm.
it's a I don't know, it's just a cool like little touch where like it very much like it makes the movie almost like this symmetrical diamond that refracts on itself and returns to where it began essentially.
Gotcha. Something I'm also paying attention to currently is like almost kind of how like fucked up Vincent's face is, like all the kind of like tiny like little marks he has on his face. I like that even though he's in this like wild animal mode, we are seeing that, he can bleed, therefore he can die. So he is.
Yeah, it's like Rocky Four. He's not a machine. He's a man. He can bleed. Yeah, I mean, forget Voorhees. He just basically, becomes like the more like flesh and blood Terminator in this bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That is like a perfect example or a perfect comparison. Absolutely.
There's a funny world where, like early in their careers, James Cameron and Michael Mann, you watch like Thief and the first Terminator, aren't two different movies, very aesthetically similar. Like they're constructed in a very that
That
steely,
kind of
ice
like,
cold blue way, like
yeah,
post
80s
MTV.
neon.
Yeah, the neon, the like the stylization, the use of music, very close. And like obviously they splintered off in very different directions, but I always find that fascinating when like you catch directors early enough to where like, oh, they kind of do feel like each other. Like it's like how early PTA definitely
Sure.
feels like both, like it feels like him riffing on like Tarantino, Scorsese, and Mammon a lot. There's like such a similarity between them where
Yeah.
you're like, okay, like there's definitely a kinship here that you could kind of group them all together. And before he kind of emerged as his own artist, you can draw these relationships.
Yeah, I'm curious if Michael Mann was asked again to give a list because so I think I can't remember if at the end of this month or in December there's going to be that new Sight and Sound list, and
Yes, get hyped. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. Back in 2012, one of the 10 movies Michael Mann picked as one of the best movies of all time was Avatar.
Oh,
So
that's
clearly,
right.
he
Yeah,
really likes James Cameron.
loves Big Jim. Fan of Big Jim. Yeah. Too bad Avatar's a piece of shit, but oh well.
Damn. I will respectfully disagree with that take.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, you know, I would be opposed to having Big Jim on one of those lists, but I'd be like, well, actually, Aliens is the great
Sure.
masterwork, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Original Terminator would be my personal favorite Big Jim
yeah,
movie if I had to
anything
pick one.
pre-Titanic, I'd be okay with. Even The Abyss, I'd be like, oh, I respect it. Yeah, but look at this, like the way he's like you
Yeah,
see him
but like
move
him
in
like
front of the
lurching
opaque
behind.
glass. It's like that
It's
part in
amazing.
Jurassic Park where you see the velociraptors move in front of like the what is it? Not the fence, but like it's like a ramp
Um,
or something. It's like a
yeah, yeah.
tapestry, and
I,
like you see like their
I
outline past it.
I was like really not expecting Tom Cruise to be compared to a fucking dinosaur, but
The
hey,
dinosaur. Hey, I'm
it
doing it. All
works.
right, we're doing it live. Fuck it. Why not?
Okay. Yeah.
Has Tom Cruise ever fought a dinosaur? I don't think he has. No, never been in a movie.
No. Yeah.
He's fought
Yeah. I
aliens.
don't
He's
think
never
he's.
fought a dinosaur.
Yeah.
He should do that.
He would have
Tom,
been.
let's
Yeah.
make it happen. Can we get you in a movie with a dinosaur?
He should have been the lead in fucking Jurassic World instead of Chris Pratt.
I really, really would never want that to happen. God, no,
Okay.
please. Tom Cruise being directed by Colin Trevor. Oh, give me a
Oh
fucking
yeah,
break.
yeah,
Give
yeah.
me a
Good point.
break.
Yeah.
Colin Trevor.
Never
What a
mind.
joke.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. See, this bit of the film
I
is
will
so
now
fascinating.
retract it.
Like, it's like almost complete darkness except for the lights of the city. You could never really do this with film stock. Not in this way.
Yeah.
Like the again, the ISO is cranked up so much that you're seeing miles of the city, but like the inside of this building is really just pitch black except for a couple of
Yeah.
tiny
Yeah.
little
Just
lights.
yeah. Darkness. Yeah.
And yet, like the geography of the action is still clear, and
Yes.
you could see why Michael Mann would like look at the possibilities of what could be accomplished with digital and say like, oh, we need to push this further. This is like crazy.
No. Yeah, it's funny because I'm realizing that yeah, it is like total darkness, but somehow, like I'm not just looking at darkness. Like you can see the shapes just enough where you can still yeah track movement and space, and the fact that he is able to do that is just incredible.
Oh, the sound of like her hands moving across the carpet.
Uh, Here comes what, at least what I think is a really good squib.
Oh yeah, man generally has good squibs,
Yeah,
except for what is it, Manhunter, where they're kind of weird. Although not really his fault because the squibs like essentially wouldn't work, but they still do come across as weird.
mhm.
Now, upcoming is the greatest part of the movie.
Oh yeah, right.
Now, this
So
is like
good.
a John Wick part where like all the windows break when he's shooting.
Yeah.
And now, this bit I love when he takes the chair, tosses it through the window, jumps to it, but then
And
like
then
trips over. And he does like the Mission Impossible, like when he's leaping out of the cafe that's exploding, and he does that
yeah.
same pose, but then he fumbles over the chair, and like Michael Mann's like, keep that take in. That's a great take of him. Tom Cruise fucking up the stunt.
No, yeah, I like that, and I'm sure the reason why man liked it was, yeah, like even when he like fucks up, that doesn't stop him. He's gonna keep going no matter what.
Yeah, he's a human wrecking ball.
Exactly.
Whenever I see this scene, I always feel. I mean, this is dumb. I always feel bad for Annie in this scene, like running for like miles across LA in heels.
Oh
It's like,
yeah,
I'm like,
no, yeah,
fuck, that must
yeah,
be a
yeah.
pain
I
in
guess
the
that,
ass.
yeah, yeah. She is making it work. I would imagine if you're like like running for your life, you're suddenly gonna get a lot of adrenaline.
Oh, you don't give a shit, right? But yeah, it's just.
Yeah, exactly.
But even like for Jada Pinkett Smith, I imagine it's like, all
True.
right,
Yeah.
hey, 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 man, can I have like some like different shoes? Nope, nope, we're
Nope.
doing this. So I've often remarked on like how this film is kind of the inverse of Heat, whereas Heat is this like big sprawling epic thing. This is like a contained character study essentially of these two guys, and well, Heat like begins with a guy getting off a train and then ends with two guys at an airport. This begins with two guys like getting off at an airport and then ends with a guy like leaving on a train, right, going backwards. And
Yeah.
Michael Mann in like the commentary for this movie says that he didn't intend to do that, but I don't really buy that shit because it's kind of too seamlessly accomplished. Where I'm like, how I don't know how you couldn't, like how do you accidentally
No,
do that?
no, he strikes me as a person where like literally with every new film he makes, he's keeping every single film he made beforehand in mind with the new one, like even like subconsciously, you know.
That bit where like there's almost like a crash zoom on Tom Cruise's face.
Yeah, it's so
it's
good.
it's a weird shot again, like not usually a thing
But
that
like,
Michael
oh,
Mann
it's great.
does.
I do like also that like Vincent's left cheek is just like coated in blood at this point.
I do like the
Like,
score
and
here.
it's yeah.
Now this is like this is like classic Hitchcock shit, right? Where they're trying to like get off the train, get on the train, like
Yeah,
trying to play chicken with each other. Like it's just like really good meat and potato suspense stuff.
for sure.
He's just like straight up pointing. He's like, "Nope, I'm gonna get you if you step the fuck out. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry." It's almost like how Johnny To characters will just have like a monolithic stance of pointing their guns and like not move a fucking inch.
for sure. Yeah, not. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, thinking about it, if there is a like other filmmaker currently working who kind of has a similar man thing, I would say Toe is definitely
Oh,
up there
hundred
for
percent,
consideration.
100%. I mean, okay, if Heat is like what can be a contender for the best shootout in history, like the shootout that Johnny To has at the end of Drug War, I think is like a fierce competitor to that in terms of quality.
Nice. Yeah.
Speaking of shootouts,
Oh yeah, incredible. Not yeah. So
this reminds me of like FPS games where like people will get mad. It's like you just flipped around your mouse, so you weren't aiming. Meanwhile, like Max is just like firing wildly and fucking hits him,
yeah.
and that sound design of the
Not,
magazine hitting the floor like a heartbeat. It's brutal.
yeah. So the thing that I really like about that specific shootout is so you see within the doors, like Vincent's bullets were like caught by the door. So I like that. Like I like the irony of Vincent throughout this entire film has been encouraging Max to sort of like be like willing to be
Play it
like
loose.
random to like yeah loose and then I like that the thing that in the end like causes Vincent to die is he was like too focused on his routine, like he was too specific, and then Max by his random shooting was then also able to shoot Vincent. I just really like that.
Yeah, yeah. There's even limits to the Mozambique technique. You don't want to. You want to switch it up. Want to switch it
Exactly.
up. Play it
Yeah.
loose. I think the real tragedy of this scene is that he doesn't realize that in a way he's made an impact on Max's life. And so in a way
Yeah.
like it's obvious that Max notices, but that Vincent isn't able to see that, you
Sure.
know. And there's this part, oh my god, this part that I hate where not that I hate but like like it hurts where it's almost as if he doesn't really die, but he almost like winds down, like he's like he shuts down like a robot, that has its power
I mean,
unplugged.
like, yeah. I mean, I guess if like what we were talking about earlier, where he kind of becomes a Terminator, I guess that does make the most sense. It's like it's almost like not even a human being dying. Yeah, it's like this like machine that's been running his entire life, and now finally he gets to shut down.
No, now the score here is like really haunting stuff. Just
Oh,
so
it's great. It's amazing. Yeah,
like the wailing that goes on. It's really lovely.
yeah. How long do you think Vincent stays on that train?
You know what? I figure we give him a week.
All
We're
right.
just like, all right, yeah, send him back. See, I don't quite understand too. Like this shootout happens, and the train is like, all right, I guess we'll just head on back.
Oh yeah. I guess yeah. The conductor
No one
must
really
not
did
be.
notice. He's
Yeah.
just like, all right, another normal day in LA with a shooting from the fucking metro.
You know.
Damn,
I
that
still
was the
have not
last
gotten
of
tired of
Vincent Collateral.
yeah. Rip and piss forever, miss.
No, no, no. True legends never die.
True.
Oh, Frank Darabont was an executive producer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. I didn't notice that before. Uh, yeah. Jesus, Collateral. It's an okay
Yeah,
movie, I
right.
guess. It's fine. It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
it's yeah,
whatever. At the end of the day, it's just a movie. Whatever.
perfectly solid, like 10 out of 10. Just like happens to be one of the best movies ever made. But
Yeah, I guess it's fine.
no big deal.
It's
Yeah,
interesting. This used to be one of my favorite Michael Mann's, and I basically love all his movies. Um, I definitely like the extremities of Mann's work more now, but this is like I think this is his most accessible movie. Like you could show this
sure.
to someone, anyone, and they'd basically get it and not feel too put off by the mannerisms and the specific
Yeah,
like weird detours that his career takes. Um, and like that does make this like this interesting object where you could it's like someone who's never watched a Michael Mann film could see this and be like, oh, I understand, and this is um, not too opaque to me.
sure.
Although you might have to explain to them Mark Ruffalo's facial hair, just to be like, all right, well, it's this weird thing.
Yeah,
Oh, Jesus, fucking Collateral.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first Michael Mann commentary that I'm like doing on the channel, and I gotta say, like, I don't know, like, why. I mean, it's not taken me that long. I've not, been running things, for that long, but like, not starting off with something like this was, I don't know. I guess I wanted to like work my way up to it. I don't know why, but you gave me an excuse to check it out. So thanks for like, yeah, whatever number of viewings of this movie that I'm on. But
Oh
hey,
yeah,
look
hey,
look at the credits. White guys. Shout out to
white
the
guy.
white
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Shout out, man. Yeah.
Special shout out to white
Airport
guy.
man, Jason Statham.
Uh,
Hell yeah,
oh
dude.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, like, I really appreciate you like thanking me, but also like, yeah, truly, like very sincerely thank you. I've never recorded a commentary for anything before, so this was a completely first time experience for me, and I'm not sure how you feel, but I found this an absolutely delightful, really fun experience.
Well, I felt really good. We grew closer together. I feel like I know
Yeah,
more about you in a very intimate faculty that I didn't before. And I
that
think
is what Michael Mann will do.
I think this first date was successful. Congratulations. I think we're dating now. That's how that works
Oh,
whenever I
oh,
do one of these commentaries. So
all
very
right.
happy about that.
Nice.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, so fuck it. What where can people like find you at? What do you do? What's your deal?
Yeah.
What is your business?
Um,
What is your occupation? Your way of living?
Wonderful questions. Yeah. So oh man, I'm trying to think of. It's weird that I'm having
Noah,
trouble
come
thinking of a
on,
way
sell
of.
yourself. Come on.
No, yeah. To summarize it, because I really don't do very much. Like earlier in the year, I did some random writing around for like film websites, but I've been really busy with like schooling currently, so I haven't had the time for that. But if you would be interested in looking into my various film opinions and kind of like random things. I've been writing on Letterboxd for I think 5 years at this point. So if you'd want to read my sort of like daily film reviews, you could find me on Letterboxd at I mean you'd probably be able to just find me at Noah Thompson, but I think my specific at is technically NRT in there, so that's like my three initials, the letters NRT. You can also find me on Twitter. My handle there is rug pointy. So it's like rug and then pointy. Uh, I'm not sure if I can explain the meaning behind that yet, but hey, if I like ever come back for like another commentary, I can uh gladly share. So I will put that in my pocket
And
for
you're getting ambitious now. You're like, well, when I inevitably come back to do
yeah,
Collateral 2 when Michael Mann makes it,
yeah,
all right, well, I see how it is. Yeah, anyway, yeah, check out Noah's 5 years of bad takes on Letterboxd and
yeah.
definitely exercise some like ruthless critique of all existing criticism. Ooh, good times. Good times.
Great times, yeah, for sure.
Second unit. What? Oh, I guess there's not many of them. They were just like shooting the fucking helicopter stuff.
Yeah. Even Michael Mann can't make movies alone. You know.
What? That's bullshit. No, auteurs, they own everything about their movie. You're telling me what? All right, let's see. Songs.
Yeah.
Devastator, Love Me So Bad, Hands of Time, The Seed 2.0, Driftin', Air. Now we're just reading the credits like a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah.
And by us, I mean, uh,
Yeah. Shadow
oh,
of the Sun. Whoop whoop.
Shadow Sun. There we go. Korean Style, written by Paul Oakenfield.
Damn.
I got the soundtrack. Everyone buy the soundtrack to this movie. It's good, especially for the audio slave. And that was Collateral. You know, homie, I think that was his briefcase. Kind of rude.
You think so?
I know so.